1990 inclus déjà.
Well, we are here at the Le Mans 24 Hours. It's still all the action is going on. We've got Peugeot leading with Audi in second place with Benoit Trillier and Peugeot again. This is the never-ending battle between the front runners. We've done so many hours of this race with only 5.5 hours remaining, and they're still racing like it's a 20-minute sprint race, Stuart.
Sorry, it's unbelievable, Liz. You know, these cars are racing flat out. They've been racing flat out from the start. No one knows who's going to win yet. It could be Benoit Trillier, it could be Alexander Wirtz, it could be Simon Pagenaud. You know, it's anybody's game at the moment. I think at the moment Benoit Trillier is in the pole position seat, but there's 5.5 hours to go, and it can all change incredibly quickly.
Well, we've been talking so much about strategy, and I really do believe that that's what is going to win this race in the end. And we're in sort of a funny position now where we don't really know which strategy is going to work or even what the real strategy is. We keep sort of changing our minds. We've got, you know, one car, the Audi, is pitting more often for fuel, but taking on less fuel, so it's slightly quicker. They're also changing their tires less than the Peugeot, so they're obviously, you know, I've got a car that's easier on the tires. Peugeots are having much, you know, less often fuel stops, but their tires are needing replacing sort of on double, triple stints, whereas Audi's doing the 4. So we're sort of trying to weigh it up ourselves with, you know, maybe we should start getting out the calculator and trying to figure it out ourselves, because I don't think we're going to know until about the last 20 minutes of this race who's going to win it.
It certainly is a real game of cat and mouse at the moment. One team's doing one thing, one team's doing the other thing. It's confusing us rotten up here. I don't seem to see the team confused. They're all sticking to their game plans, and it's all going to pan out for them in the end, but who's going to be the winner? We'll see in about 5 hours 20.
The other classes have been pretty tight in GTE and the Pro, and also the M class. We've only got sort of a lap or less than a lap between the leaders. Probably the biggest gap at the moment is in the LMP2 class, where the Zytek, the Greaves Zytek, has actually got a good 4-lap lead over the Signatech car of Lucas Ordonez. And I have to say, he's just swapped over to Sohail Ayari, but Ordonez has done such a fantastic job. I've been watching his times. Only got into a race car 3 years ago, having won the GT Academy, coming straight from basically virtual to reality in the strongest of senses. And I've been watching his times. I'm absolutely blown away.
He's doing a brilliant job, and that team's doing a brilliant job as well, because they had a few troubles early on, and they've been working their way back up. All 3 drivers have done consistent good times, and the fact that Lucas Ordonez has got some very, very quick teammates. Serla Ari's driven for the likes of Pescarolo. You've got Frank Myers driving the Lola Aston last year. You know, these guys are very, very experienced, and he's slotted into that team. And, you know, Nissan have given him that chance, and he's repaying them in a very, very good way at the moment.
This is also a testament to Nissan as well, because those 2 front-running cars have got definitely the fastest engine, and they've been so far, touch wood, I don't want to give the commentator's curse, but so far reliable. I think, you know, we've seen that number 26 car had a puncture early on, had a couple little problems, but now, because they've had that strength and that regularity since then, they've managed to claw themselves back all the way to second place.
They have, and another good shout out for, I think one of my unsung heroes of the race is young Olivier Lombard in the Greaves Motorsport Zytek. Him and Tom Kimber-Smith and the gentleman driver Karim Oj have been doing a very good job, but Tom, very experienced at Le Mans, he's had a couple of years out. He's very much the lead driver in that car, and I think Olivier Lombard's come in, he's learnt off his quicker teammate, and you know, now he's setting some of the faster times in that car. He's only 20 years old, he's on his debut at Le Mans, he's leading his class. I think he just did a triple stint in that car and was consistently times quicker than anybody else in P2, so well done Olivier Lombard. I think he's my one of my
picks of the day.
Yeah, picks of the day. Done a brilliant job.
I'm impressed as well, and at that age, that's a very mature head on their shoulders.
Didn't think he'd be the fastest driver in that car.
No, I don't think any of us believe that.
But in fairness, all of those guys have really picked up their game. We spoke about Karim Oj during the night list, didn't we? About how he stepped up. He's very hard on himself. I did an interview with him with the Nissan Hospitality on the outside of the Dunlop Curves on Saturday morning. We'll put it out live on RadioLeMans.com. And he doesn't normally like to speak to you, but he was in such good form. He was really relaxed. Well, that's not unusual for Karim. But he was quite chatty, which he's normally not. You know, he's normally quite reserved. But he was obviously really looking forward to it, and we know why. This car is just such a great package.
He knows it.
Like, he knows it inside out. They've had it since 2007.
Yeah, and I think that says a lot. You know, I remember the second year that I came to Le Mans in the prototype that I'd driven the year before, and then I'd driven that season. It's an amazing feeling to come in and think, well, I've just got to get my head around the track and what we're doing here, but you know the car. And that's a really big bonus. And I think we easily forget about what a big deal that is, because things change so much every year. The rules change, the cars change. But a couple of these guys do have cars they know, and that is a big bonus.
Just been watching Luke. Oh my goodness.
That's
wrong.
That's David Halliday blowing up on the wrong screen from earlier today.
My eyes have gone a bit bad. It looks like it's a bit dark that
So
way.
if you'd like to switch over and watch some replays, you can go and watch 24 minutes. But at the moment, we're watching live.
Here on Eurosport 2 with 5 hours and 21 minutes to go. That is the Norma with the Judd BMW engine.
Still going strong.
A lot of problems.
Look at this though, getting caught right in the wrong place as far as the Peugeot behind him is concerned. No, not round the outside there. That's very, very brave indeed.
That's very risky.
You have to be brave. Le Mans is on the line here.
Yeah, true. But look what, you know, the Peugeot as he went round the outside, okay, but then knew before that last left-hander, the karting S's, had to cut across to the right-hand side. And that's where you need the guy in the car that you're passing to give you a little bit of racing room and to be heads up, isn't it, Stuart?
I think there has to be an element of trust. You're all out there, and you're all out there to do your own job, but, you know, we like to think every driver that races at Le Mans has got some form of clue about motorsport, so you'd like to think you can trust, although some of the incidents we've seen this weekend, nobody has trusted that, but
the debate will run on long, hard, and, you know, very opinionated over the next few weeks about this. I think this is the leader in GTE. I'm coming in, by the way, because everybody has got their own views on it, and even among the drivers that have been Skyping and texting with me, you know, it's 50-50 to be honest on all of these incidents.
I think there's the rules, which is, you know, you always allow, you know, the faster driver must safely pass the slower driver. The slower driver needs to stay on their line, but there is a little bit of give and take that has to be available there. You have to, like Stuart said, there has to be some trust. There has to be the instance where, you know, maybe the faster car does take you offline a little bit, because that just is what happens. We can't get around that. But I think we're just going to start to see this race unfold even more, and we're going to go to commercial break quickly. We'll be back with you very soon here live on Eurosport 2.
welcome back live to the Le Mans 24 Hours. We are hotting up for a cracking finish. Benoit Trellier leads for Audi at the moment. Simon Pagenaud is second. Alexander Wirtz is third. They're all on the lead lap. They're all on 267 laps gone. Fourth is Stefan Sarazan. Fifth, Julien Zeus. And sixth, Loic Duval.
And they are all working through their fuel strategies. We'll talk about this a lot. If you've been with us for a long time, apologies for keep repeating this, but the story of this race is 12 laps versus 11 or 10. 12 laps is Peugeot, 11 or 10 is Audi, and the key part is how much quicker can the remaining Audi go and still get the 11 laps. We saw last time Benoit Trellier only did a 10-lap stint. He needs to get the 272 before he comes in next time. The two Peugeots stopped respectively 9 and 7 on 263 and 265. Add 12 onto that, you can do the arithmetic yourself, unless you work with Chip Ganassi and you're doing fuel calculations, of course, as Dario will tell you. But Stefan Sarazan is the first man off the lead lap, and then it's the battle for the petrol clash. Julian Zeus has just come into the pit lane, and Nicolas Prost is just behind him, and they are a couple of laps behind. Damien Faulkner has joined us this morning. Good morning, Damo. How are you feeling, fella?
Good morning. I've just had breakfast and I'm wide awake.
I tell you, you had a proper racing driver's breakfast. There was me sat there with me egg and bacon, and he had his muesli and yogurt.
And beans and bacon.
Yeah,
He said, "Are you
saw
not
him
eating?"
after.
He said to me, "Are you not eating proper food?" I said, "Yeah, this is what I normally. I've just got up."
Thing is, have the bacon and beans first.
Did you stay up all night? Did you?
I did, yeah.
Oh, you
Of course I
did?
Yeah.
Have the bacon and
It's not like
beans.
you, Larry.
Softy. Have your bacon and beans first, and then finish with the fruit and the muesli. And then if anybody comes in and sees you in the muesli phase, then you put that down and walk away. Now that is a live picture, and that's a live picture of a Peugeot in the wall. This
Number
is
7.
down at Indianapolis, and it is Alex Wirtz. He's gone straight on at Indianapolis, and that car is damaged enough to take some time to get back, even if it can be fixed.
The rear wheels are spinning, so he's obviously beached.
Oh my goodness me.
Now, is that bodywork off the front right-hand corner, or is that bit of tyre wall? So he's just gone in a bit too deep, locked up, and hasn't been able to get it turned in the gravel trap, and just touched the wall. So it's probably going to be a new nose, and well, that's that. I think that's race over.
Anthony Davidson, is this live?
That's the other channel. To Muesli again.
That looks actually harder than it was.
Just went in a bit too quick.
That is such a tough corner, of course. You arrive there so fast. It is banked, but that means if you're not turning in at exactly the right spot, gentlemen, you know this, Stuart, because you've driven around there, then there's no coming back from that.
No, you have to commit, and if you commit a little bit too deep, you don't get the effect of the camber, and when you don't get the effect of the camber, you're just going to understeer wide.
They're dragging him away, and he may not get that back. That might be abandonné.
They'll drag him. There's a little slip road just the other side of the corner. They'll drag him to that. They'll drag him behind the wall, so they're wasting more and more time. This is basically Alexander Wirtz's race going down the drain at this moment in time.
He's managed to get the clutch in or get reverse, at least, so the wheels aren't being dragged as the snatch tractor pulls him backwards. So Wirtz, who was in 3rd position and was going very well, the Austrian. It's not a big accident. It looked spectacular. Just in case Julia is watching somewhere around the circuit.
It's actually the rubber has actually just sort of suckered him onto that tyre wall, and instead of just glancing off it, he was just like stuck to it, which is what then pitched him around.
Yeah,
this is not the accident, the size of accident that we've seen with the Peugeots or even the Rebellion. Now there is the damage. That's superficial damage, but it's the time that's lost. Banging a new nose on that. But the only thing they've got to worry about is whether that catch on the right-hand front. Ooh, that's a bit naughty.
That's carbon fibre going everywhere. Punches galore again.
Oh no. Can't blame Alex for that. He just wants to get it back. Get off the racing line, son. Good lad.
You got the Audi in the background.
He's the leader, driving over all of that rubbish.
Oh, it's all kicking off this race, isn't it? Everything's happening.
There's nothing more to come off that car, is there?
You imagine getting a puncture as you turn into the Porsche curse after running over that lot.
Yeah.
That's not what you want, is it? It's 180 mile an hour as you turn in there.
I think you'd need a ticket to get back in. Which
I can sell you one, by the way, Damo, if you need one. I have a couple of spare.
No, John, it's not the... Well...
That'll be the first time.
Now,
Ralph Yuckner down in the pit lane, but here is the story. Now, is there any damage to the suspension? Yes, there is. The top link's gone, I would say there. Here's the replay of the... Basically, he ran over his own bodywork there, Stuart.
Yeah, and if that suspension damage, that is going to be... well, you never know. They might be running secret camber, which we can't see, but it's probably highly unlikely.
Got a problem. You can see the way that car's handling.
It's actually set up like it's going to run the Indy 500 there, isn't it?
If every corner was Indianapolis, he'd be fine. He's going to struggle when he wants to try and turn to the right.
Now back to the racing. Damo, you're the best man qualified to answer this question. Yeah, you're Damo from now on. Now,
you heard me call you that, you see.
Yeah, see, you got a nickname. You're well and truly in with the in crowd now. But no, being serious, you raced at Sebring recently. You won at Sebring, but you're in a GT car.
Yeah.
So, you know, all the focus here is on the prototypes, and just what is it like to be, you know, the GT car class is ultra competitive. It's just as competitive as the prototype class in many ways. but you're having a lot of cars pass you. What is it like, especially somewhere like Sebring, to deal with that sort of traffic?
It's quite difficult, and that's a good question actually, because there's certain parts of Sebring that are quite like, for example, the Porsche curves here. You just have to be very prudent in what you do. You have to be very confident in what you do. You have to hold your line, but sometimes you have to be strategic. Sometimes it's better to give that little bit up, to allow the prototype past. And I've been told that when John was commentating on that race, he was actually applauding some of my driving and letting the prototypes pass. But that's just
a masterclass in how to do it, Biff.
Well,
I really mean that.
You know, I think it's just race intellect is what I would call it, you know. You're just making a decision based on where you are, where the prototype is. Yeah, you might be losing half a second on that lap or whatever, but it doesn't really matter because, you know, if you don't lose it there, you're going to lose it somewhere else. So, you know, it's just been smart. But for some of the less experienced drivers, some of the amateur drivers, you know, I can well believe that it's very sort of intimidating, but it's something they have to deal with.
How much can you see out of the back of a GT car, first of all in daytime, when the cars are coming up the pasture?
Well, obviously, you know, you're concentrating on your own race, so it's really only your peripheral vision that are looking at the mirrors, because
you can't drive looking at your mirrors.
No, absolutely not. You know, Stuart, your eyes, you know, you're focused on the next entry, the next apex, the next exit, and really you have to be extremely vigilant and alert of where these prototypes are.
How much can you see out of the back of that in the night when it's headlamps coming up, and how do you judge where they are on the track?
It's difficult. I mean, obviously when you know, it's when you've got lots of corners, it's probably easier because, you know, when they come around, you're both sort of angled, and then, you know, when the lights are on you, you know, like you're straightening up. So I think it's easier when there's lots of corners. I think maybe on the straights, big long straights like here, it's probably more difficult. And especially, as I've said before, and this is no dig at Audi or anything, but the LED lights they have are extremely bright. And I know from talking to some of the GT drivers here that illuminated the whole of the inside of the cockpits, which are normally white anyway. So it's like a flash of lightning going off. So I'd imagine it is quite a challenge to understand exactly where they are.
Now, just coming back to the race, what we have now, although there is still 3 Peugeots left in the race, none of them are on there's 4 Peugeots left on the race. Only 1 is left on the lead lap. That's the Peugeot Simon Pagenaud. It's now a 1-horse race. Peugeot versus Audi, Trillier versus Pagenaud, because the rest aren't on the lead lap.
Yes.
At the moment.
Now,
providing no
all right,
hiccups.
guys.
There's only 5 hours and 8 minutes left.
Yeah, but
you two guys are drivers, but if you were team manager, what would you do with? We've seen Sarrazin absolutely tearing it up, and he can be the fastest car on track from the Peugeots when we see it. So, do you say to Sarrazin, I want you back on the lead lap. If we've got to go down to doing 10 or 11 laps, go for it. Right, get going. I want another car on that lead lap. I want to put extra pressure on the Audi. Or do you have him as your banker and you set Pagenaud on Trillier? Which way do you do it? Which way around
do you do both.
I think
this is Le Mans. You've got to put.
Because you've got Vert who's going to come out in third place.
There's 5 hours left.
All right.
It is a long time, but it's not a long time. You know, if things go to plan and reliability stays the way it is, things aren't going to change, and you've got to start taking risks. And they all are taking risks at the moment. But you know, if I was Olivier Canel at Peugeot, I would be having Pagenaud push as hard as he can. I'd be having Sarrazin push as hard as he can. And just the same as if I'm Dr. Ulrich, I'll be having Trillier push as hard as you can. This is an all-out sprint for the last 5 hours because it's the biggest sports car race in the world on offer.
30 seconds between Trillier and Pagenaud, and there's 2 more laps before Trillier comes in. He's taken about a second, well, not even that last time round, only 4/10 out of Pagenaud. I think Pagenaud's picked up the pace just a little bit, but Trillier at the moment is not as consistent as he was. He was down in the 29s and low 29s quite a lot in the earlier part of his stint, and at the moment this is very tight for Peugeot as to how that average lap time per stint of 11 laps or 10 laps. He can't do another 10 lap stint like he did last time. He's got to get he was 261 in last time. He's got to get to 272 this time.
Yeah, I was down in Audi there for some tea and coffee, and it was just right at the time when the Trulli and Pagenaud were battling for the lead, and it was fantastic. There's some jumps for joy from the Audi folk down there. But you know, he's driven a fantastic stint, I think, and for some reason, I don't know, the Audis just seem to be better in traffic. Are they being more fortunate in traffic, or are they just...
Well, you know what?
Were you watching yesterday? Fortunate in traffic?
Well, do you know what?
From the one that's left.
Well, you know what? I think this comes back down to the same fundamental thing that we've been talking about all weekend. It's the same thing that affects the lap times. It's the same thing that affects the fuel efficiency. I think they're running a bit more wing. I think they're running a bit more downforce. I think the Peugeots are running super skinny, which means that it's more difficult for them. Yeah, okay, to pick up speed quicker, the faster down the tubes in that middle section. They have been absolutely unbeatable all week since we rolled off the trucks on Wednesday. But it means that they can't change direction with the same kind of impunity as we've seen them in the older car through the years, where they had another 150 horsepower and downforce to spare. And I think that's a huge difference.
See, you know, going back to the GT class, everyone's, oh, and the BMW actually goes. So we saw one guy drop 2 wheels off, and then the other BMW follow suit and drop all 4 wheels off. That's gonna cover a load of gravel in the rads, isn't it?
That's he's done a vert there. That's what we're calling that now.
What number car is that? Can you see, Hardy?
Right, well, that one is the 56. Now, is that the one that went off? I think that's the one that got round all right. So I think it's the 55 of Farfus that went off. They've had a disastrous race, really, because this car, I said in the preview that we did for RadioLeMans.com that it was BMW's to lose, and they have at the moment.
Yeah, I thought they were going to walk this race. I mean, the pace that they showed earlier in qualifying and practice, and I think they're really surprised that that their competition is as quick as they are in race pace. But of course, they have had problems.
I'll tell you, the car that's impressed me a lot is the brand new 458 of the AF Course guys.
Yeah, just changed, put Fisichella in that. I mean, that's a car that they didn't even have that car in time, really, for it to race at Sebring. They raced one of the old cars at Sebring, and they put it on pole, by the way. That car came here as the JMB car, is the car that was on pole position, and they've done a great job. There's a question mark over the fuel pump on those cars and keeping the pressure up high enough for the pressurised fuel injection. There's a question about the right front suspension on those cars. So they came in here with a completely untried piece of kit that they haven't had for, you know, what? Well, they had it 6 months, the car. All right, it's done a couple of races now, but I think that's a brave thing to do, and they've done it very, very well indeed. I mean, you look at the driver talent, okay, fair enough, but it's a new car, still a new car.
And you know, I think for me in GTE now, that's the car I'm going to root for. Ultimately, I went with the Ollie Gavin Corvette with Richard Westbrook, the 2 British lads in that. Very disappointing that car's gone out, because they were bossing that GTE class at that time, and really unfortunate that old Jan Magnussen had the incident with the Porsche. So I think it'd be nice to see the Ferrari win now. What about you guys? Predictions?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was sort of rooting for Andy Prio in the BMW, but doesn't look good. I guess that Ferrari's been running quite well now. I think it probably looks like the Ferrari.
Be a hell of a win for Corvette if they could pull it off. But you know what? We've been talking all the time about how bad a season the Porsches have had, and there's that 77 car. Up until this race, that 77 car has been written off on the first lap of the first race of the season. They rebuilt it in 3 weeks. It didn't make the end of the first lap of the second race of the season it was in, so it hadn't done a single race lap before it came here, that team. And the Lieb and Leeds combination always very, very strong. It will be a bit of a fairy tale victory, and as Norbert Singer always used to say, forget about qualifying, it'll be all about the race. We're just coming up to 5 hours. Here comes the leader on lap 272. He's made his 11 laps. That's really, really important. Now, will it be a quad stint or just the triple for Trellier? Well, you'll find out When we come back after this break, we're swapping channels again. Trellier stays in, Trellier gets out. Stay with us at Le Mans to find out.